There is an asynchronous amplified sound effect of footsteps which can be heard as the film institutions appear on the screen. There is then a long shot from the back of the concert hall where the protagonist of the film is positioned. The use of the long shot makes the character seem very small amongst the grand architecture. The use of this camera shot is reflective of the situation the protagonist is currently in. She is being presented as anxious and innocent, which is relevant as she is about to play for an audition. Before cutting to a black screen, there is an over-the-shoulder shot from behind the protagonist. This shows the audience the stressful situation that the character is in as the audience are looking at the judges from her point of view. Placing the camera behind the character in this way also confirms that she is the protagonist of the film.
What's that? You'll be auditioning for Juilliard.
In the next scene, the music used is being played by the protagonist of the film. The musical instrument being played is a cello. The pace of the music is initially very slow and the music is low in pitch. However, as the trailer progresses and there is more narrative resolution, the tempo increases. The audience can assume the origin of the sound but can't actually see it. The music switches between being synchronous and asynchronous. There is a high angle and the protagonist's point of view shot looking up towards the ceiling. The ceiling represents the goal of the protagonist to achieve her place at her ideal school. Having a high angle and point of view highlights the protagonist's feelings of fear and anxiety and makes the audience empathise with the same feelings, as the use of the point of view makes the audience feel the same way that Mia does.
That's the ceiling. I figured, if you look at it every night, it won't seem so scary when you get there.
The line shared between the protagonist and a friend,
I told you he was into you,
indicates that there is a love interest or a crush which features within the narrative of this film. This type of boy meets girl narrative is conventional of a teen romance genre film.
No, yes,
You know how when you meet someone and they just already are the person they're meant to be?
The trailer continues to conform to the conventions of the teen romance genre as the male protagonist walks down the corridor in slow motion in a tracking movement whilst the female protagonist is narrating directly to the audience. The use of slow motion and central framing of the character highlights his dominance in the scene. As the scene takes place in a school, the tracking slow motion connotes that this character is popular within the school. However, the female protagonist's positive asynchronous narration of the character and the facial expressions of the other females in the slow motion tracking shot indicates that this character is popular with the females rather than the males in the school. The males in the tracking shot don't acknowledge the character, whereas all the females stop and acknowledge that he is walked past. The character fits the convention of a typical high school genre film, stud or jock.
That was Adam. Nobody outside Portland had ever heard of his band, but he already was somebody. Me, not so much.
she shouldn't be.
As the protagonist continues to narrate to the audience, there is a montage of clips highlighting the opposite lives which the two protagonists have. Adam, the male protagonist, has a montage of clips showing him to be a part of a rock band performing in a small, intimate stage area which has low-key, dark lighting. The use of slow motion again highlights his dominance in this setting as well as the school setting. The genre of music and the role Adam has in the band signifies a rebellious lifestyle, typical of one a popular male character in a high school drama has. Adam's montage with long shot durations is juxtaposed with Mia's montage. The montage depicts Mia's life as being fast-paced and busy through the use of short shot durations between the clips in contrast to Adam's long shot duration and slow motion to show his carefree attitude towards life. The contrast in the two montages can also be seen in the different use of lighting. Mia in a warm and natural light contrasting Adam in a dark, low-key, artificial lighting. Furthermore, whilst Adam seems to be constantly surrounded by a group of friends or admirers, Mia is either alone or with her family. This highlights the different stereotypes of teenagers in society, either being surrounded by friends or being family-orientated. Having the male and female protagonists being presented as opposites but falling for each other despite this is a conventional romance narrative.
Be scared to hang out with those guys. They're us.
Exactly. Adam's here.
The narration spoken asynchronously by the female protagonist momentarily stops as the violin also being played by the protagonist gradually decreases in volume. Both the violin and the narration couple to highlight when the protagonist is fantasizing versus when she's in reality. Switching from reality to fantasy through the use of direct address is a convention often followed by the protagonist in a high school teen genre film.
Be careful out there, I hear it gets pretty wild at Symphony.
A close-up on the male and female protagonist holding hands initiates the crescendo in the asynchronous violin music playing. The music also increases in tempo. This further illustrates how the music and narration being played by the protagonist is to highlight the fact that she is fantasizing about the life and the boy which she is hoping for. This is shown as the increase in music occurs as she holds Adam's hand for the first time. The music quickens in pace to replicate her quickening heartbeat as she is falling for Adam. This marks the climax of the trailer before the turning point. The line,
Why do I have this feeling you're about to mess up my entire life?
said by Mia, illustrates the negative impact which having a relationship with Adam will have on her. This further connotes the stereotypical rebellious teenager character which Adam has been presented as.
I can't hide in that rehearsal room forever. It's too late. I'll see you.
As the characters kiss, the violins and the music crescendo to the loudest that they have been. In addition, throughout the trailer, the violin being played asynchronously by Mia at her audition has slowly modulated from a minor to a major piece of music. This modulation couples with the overall mood of the trailer becoming warmer and happier for Mia. The major key highlights how everything is going well for Mia. There is then a montage of all the characters in the trailer seeming happy, with Mia's violin playing at a fast pace to accompany the warm theme at this point in the trailer. The lighting varies in each clip. In half of the clips there is a natural warm lighting, whereas in the other half there is a low-key lighting, dark. This contrast in lighting in each clip signifies the coming together of Adam and Mia, despite their different backgrounds.
It's like that.
The turning point of the trailer is marked by the final crescendo in Mia's violin music, which is coupled with a crashing sound effect. The music ends as there is a final cutaway to Mia dropping her violin, which is seen in a mid-shot. The screen then cuts to black. This marks a turning point of the trailer as Mia is no longer narrating through the music, as the music which has been playing throughout the trailer has ended. The audience are concerned for the protagonist. As the camera cuts from the black screen to the back into the trailer, there is a mid-shot of the protagonist lying on the ground as her eyes are opening. The camera is from a high angle looking down on the protagonist, making her seem weak and lacking in control. The idea of Mia having lost control in this situation is further illustrated as the music being played non-diegetically to accompany the trailer is no longer the violin being played by Mia, but a sad piece of music. As the trailer can clearly be identified as a single-strand narrative through the use of narration and direct address, it seems unusual that the protagonist is no longer in control, as there is no more narration through the music, thus making the turning point of the trailer.
Mom! Daddy! Dad! Am I dying?
Use this.
An over-the-shoulder shot is used, followed by a tracking movement in a circle around the protagonist. The use of camera here establishes the devastation and tragedy happening around the protagonist. The use of the over-the-shoulder shot indicates the audience are supporting the protagonist. It is conventional in films and trailers for the audience to feel sympathy and empathy for the protagonist. There is a montage of clips taken from different moments of Mia being in the hospital. This clip is in pan of Mia, which uses a rack focus in order to focus on the facial expressions of Mia. Despite being blurred, the hospital is still visible with lots of nurses walking around. The use of this rack focus, coupled with Mia's facial expressions of confusion and distress, highlights that the character is overwhelmed and can't take everything in. The use of rack focus here also allows the audience to empathise with the character, as they too can't see the full scene. They can only see Mia. This montage is followed by a montage of flashbacks of Mia growing up from a baby to a child, then a teenager. These scenes have a slow cutting rate along with moments of slow motion. These flashbacks are interrupted by short cutaways back to the hospital. These cutaways replicate the cutaways from the beginning of the trailer. In these cutaways, there would be scenes of Mia playing the violin, interrupted by scenes with Adam, as these were the most important things in her life before the turning point. This implies that Mia's priorities have changed as she has realised how valuable her family are, as she has to mature very suddenly. The importance of family and love is often a moral in teenage drama films.